Good day doodlers, welcome to Draw Cartoons. As requested, today I'm going to show you how to draw the incredibly powerful Super Saiyan Blue Goku from the Dragonball series. Thanks to fantastic Mr. Vince for the suggestion. If there's something you'd like me to draw too, let me know in the comments below. Make sure you watch the whole video today because as always, I've got some great tips for you. You're going to need a pencil, paper, an eraser and a Sharpie to go over your sketch with. Let's go! Let's get started. But first, if you want to learn to draw the fast and easy way, make sure you subscribe to the channel and ring that bell. Let's begin. So with your pencil, we'll start the way we usually do. Draw a circle. And try and make this as even a circle as you can. It might help if you want to draw around a coin or a protractor or something, or use a compass. Anything you have to hand, try and draw as nice a circle as you can. Maybe a little bit nicer than mine. And then when you've done that, we'll cut it down the middle like we usually do. And then once we reach the bottom of the circle, we'll go a little bit further and stop about there. That's where Goku's chin is going to be. So then, right off the sides of the circle, gently now with your pencil, because we're going to erase this in a minute. It's just to kind of help guide us. Guide it all the way to the end of that line that you just drew and do the same on the other side. So you end up with this kind of triangle shape sticking out the bottom of our circle. And when you've done that, we're going to draw, again coming off the circle, another shape just like that, okay? So again on the other side, and this is Goku's jawline now. So now that we've got that in place, we can get rid of this line here. That was just to kind of guide us in drawing the shape of the jawline. We can actually get rid of this as well. We're not going to need this anymore. So if you've got your eraser to hand, feel free to get rid of those guidelines. You don't have to get rid of those at this point. If your eraser's too thick, you can't really get there. Don't worry about it. You can erase it later. I'm just erasing it now for the sake of making things a little bit clearer. So we'll go ahead and draw the ears on either side of the head. We have covered Goku before, by the way. I'll just link a card in the corner now up here just to kind of show you. But for now, it's drawing the ears. The ears start about here, just as it begins to kind of go into the jawline. It comes up and it wraps around into the side of the head like that. And yes, Goku has two ears, so we'll draw one on the other side as well. I've actually not drawn that quite low enough. Let me just kind of bring that a little bit lower there. There you go. So two ears, and then why did we draw the ears before anything else? Well, it's because the ears are very helpful in guiding us for the shape of the eyebrows. So if you come away from this, or come inside rather, from this ear here, right into the center of the head at a kind of diagonal shape like that, and do it again on the other side, we've immediately drawn Goku's brow. And we can go right ahead, draw the eyebrows, so a line coming away from this, and then following the shape of that line, going a bit narrower towards the inside of the eyebrow, and then head it off with a line just like that. So again, that needs to be drawn on the other side. So we're drawing that frown for Goku now. It looks very, very fierce in this form, and well, you definitely don't want to mess with Super Saiyan Blue Goku, that's for sure. So right underneath that, we can draw the eyes. Now the eyes are quite wide and not very tall. So start about here, bring it in just a little bit. See how that's kind of like a diagonal line, kind of following the shape of this line here. It's kind of this parallel, if that makes sense. And then draw a line straight across, and then tuck it in underneath the inside of the eyebrow there. So I'll just show you that again. So I'm going to come away from the eyebrow here, draw a pretty straight line across, and then head it off just like that. Now, two very small pupils that are resting against the bottoms of those eyebrows, excuse me. So we've got kind of like a semicircle here. So part of the eye is hidden. Don't draw this, but part of the eye is hidden underneath this eyebrow. Otherwise, I'd draw it in. We don't actually want to draw that because if the eyebrow's hiding part of the eye, that really kind of exaggerates how much he's frowning. It looks really good. So right in between these and below them, we're going to draw the nose. So I've got a little mark here. I'll just get rid of that for the sake of showing you. So we'll draw a straight line that comes down alongside this guideline here, and then we'll draw a V shape that crosses through the guideline that we drew down the center of the face. And then we'll draw a small flick, almost like a tick shape, out here, and then meeting with the bottom of the nose there. And then right underneath that, we'll draw a very small mouth that kind of curves down at the end, and then another small bump underneath it for where the chin is. There's just a few marks here for his cheeks, so draw those in sitting right underneath the eyes. Okay, let's add some detail to those ears before we forget. So I'll add a small lobe here, it's just a small flick that kind of bumps up and then goes up at the end. And the same on the other side, just a little bump here and it goes up there. And then the top of the ear can be simplified with just a small curve that kind of follows the shape a bit there. So it's the same on the other side. And then we'll add a small curve like this coming from the inside. And there you go, you've got a pretty cool ear shape going on both sides. So now for the hair. Now the hair is by far the hardest part of this drawing, but I'm going to walk you through every step. So if you kind of try to imagine the halfway point of this guideline here, let me just draw a box around it. This here. So you see how it kind of ends where the eyebrows end here and at the top of the head. Where is the halfway point of this shape? It's about here, right? So let me just get rid of that box, don't really need that anymore. So that is where Goku's hairline is going to be. So there's plenty of forehead there, but that's pretty normal for anime characters. So once you've identified that mark there, go a little bit to the right, not much, just a little bit to the right. And this is where we're going to show Goku's hair separating. So let's go through this chunk by chunk. So I'm going to come up a little bit from there and then bring a line down across the forehead and try and get it to end right over his pupil about here. When you get to there, bring it up at a slight angle and then cut in a little bit like this. See how that's not totally rounded? And then curve it off right above where we started. So we're going to do multiple shapes that are like this. They have this kind of almost like a hard corner here, and they always end in a fine tip like that. So that's kind of the shape that we're going to be going for, and we're just going to kind of layer them on and layer them on. There's lots of detail here, so stick with this as best you can. So starting about here, again, we're going to kind of come down a bit, draw one of those soft angles, down a bit more, and another of those soft angles, and then we're just going to kind of end it at the edge of the eye there. And then once you've done that, you can just kind of bring it up a bit and tuck it in behind the other piece of hair that we drew just a moment ago. So we're going to keep doing this, coming away from here this time, outside of the circular guideline that we began our drawing with, down at a slight angle like this, across the ear, we're drawing right over that ear, and bring it in pointing towards the inside of the face. Once we've drawn that, just guide it around the eyebrow and then tuck it in behind the hair that we just drew before. So we're going to carry on with the fringe before we do any of all this hair up here, this kind of pineapple-y style up here. We're not going to do that just yet. We're going to tackle the fringe first because the fringe kind of appears in front of all that hair. So I'm going to start again here. I'm going to come up just a little bit and then go straight down at this kind of diagonal angle here. Another of those soft curves, bringing it into the eye, so it's going right over the eye. And then we're going to guide it up into one of those bumps again, changing the angle up along the guideline that we first started with a bit, and then just going to kind of curve it in towards that first strand that we did. And then one more of these fringe pieces. This is going to go over the ear again, so we're going to start here, angle it down over the ear, and then curve it in towards the face of it. Once you've done that, you can just kind of curve it again and just wrap it behind the strand of hair that we just drew. Okay, so that's probably the more challenging bit. It might take you a few tries, but be patient with it. Let's just draw a little line here just to make it really clear that these are two separate strands of hair. And now it's time to tackle all the pineapple-y goodness up here. So let's start with this one here. So beginning just behind the first strand that we drew, we're going to draw a line that curves up like this into a spike and then come down to about here and then just rest it behind that strand of hair there. Now things are going to be overlapping a lot. It's probably going to look a little bit messy, but if you follow this step by step, it's all going to make sense. There's going to be an awful lot of lines that we've used as guides that you're not going to want to go over with your Sharpie later. You're going to want to leave them out. But for now, just kind of stick with it. So let's draw this one coming from behind this strand here. We're going to curve it up to about here, nice and high. Make sure you've got lots of room on your paper. And then down to about here. and then just guide it behind this part of the fringe here. So these really big exaggerated spikes, very, very typical of Japanese animation. You see this an awful lot with characters, it's not just Dragon Ball. So just tucking that in neatly behind that part of the fringe there. So as we could just kind of carry along with this, just something I want to mention, I did actually do a tutorial on how to draw hair. I'll link that up here right now, you should see that on the top right. There are things that I covered in that tutorial that have come up here a little bit, and you might already have seen them. But if not, I'll point it out. One of those things that I did cover in that tutorial was that a lot of hair, especially in kind of spiky, exaggerated hairstyles, just kind of layering on those spikes of the hair now, it all kind of comes from one point, all kind of converges in one point, and I'll just show you what I mean. So here we've got that crown that I mentioned in that tutorial, and if you look at all the strands of hair, they're all kind of coming towards this, aren't they? They're all kind of curving towards that crown one way or another. There's lots of lines that are kind of guiding our eye, guiding our hand back towards that crown. If you just use a little bit of imagination, you can see that. And you're going to see that for the rest of this drawing. As we add more of Goku's hair, I'm going off official artwork here for the way that his hair is drawn. And the more of this hair that we draw, the more we're going to notice that really all this hair does kind of point towards that crown. Obviously there's exceptions. The hair on the back of his neck, for instance, doesn't really point to that crown, but that's okay. It's only very short hair, and there's exceptions to every rule. But it's a pretty safe rule when it comes to designing your own hair, and we can see that with Goku, the same principle has been applied, at least to an extent. As you can see, more and more of this hair is just kind of curving towards this crown. So yeah, just kind of more proof, if you like, that really does work. So if you want to kind of build your own crazy anime hairstyles, guiding them to a single point really can produce a really nice look. So we're almost done with the hair now. Hope you've been following along. We're just kind of drawing in the spikes here. There's one here behind the ear, and another one behind this ear, and then we've got one jutting out here, and then one sticking out here right underneath the ear. Okay, so now we're getting to the neck. So the neck is really thick. He's very muscular, obviously. He's Super Saiyan Blue Goku. So the neck actually comes out really far. On a lot of cartoons, I'll just quickly draw it to the side. If you draw a head, let's cut it in half so I get some symmetry going on here. Draw a couple of really quick eyes and a mouth. Okay, so if I'm going to draw the neck for this character, I'd probably only draw a very thin neck like this, if you can just kind of make that out. Going into a pair of shoulders that aren't very wide. And that's a very cartoony look. But if I draw, let me just erase that for a moment. If I draw the neck out here, like almost to the width of the head, we've suddenly got a really kind of buff character. This character is huge. Look at the size of him. So this is a really good way of showing how muscular a character is. So a really thin neck. I can get rid of this drawing altogether now. Bye bye. So a really thick neck is a great way of exaggerating how strong a character is. So at the bottoms of those lines for the neck, we'll just kind of come out a little bit like this, not too far, just a little bit like that. And then over that we've got his trapezoid muscles. They're just curves that come from behind the neck, and they go down a little bit before we're just going to head this off with a big, kind of like a wide U shape. This is for his shirt that he's wearing over his chest. So once you've drawn that in place, we can draw the very tops of his chest, the tops of his pectoral muscles. These are just two big bumps with a line right down the middle. Try and, if you can, try and line that up with his chin. If you can just kind of imagine a line there. So we'll draw the other pectoral muscle here, and then either side of that we've got a small bump that goes hidden behind the shirt that we drew just a moment ago. Now for some more neck muscles. So following along from the shape of his jawline, draw lines that go all the way down to those pectorals that we drew just a moment ago, like this. We'll draw a small line for his Adam's apple, and then either side of those neck muscles are lines that go up and then diagonal, just like that. So up and then diagonal. Now we'll just add some details to the shirt, because right now it just kind of looks like he's hovering there. So if I come from behind the trapezoids a bit and draw a few wrinkles in the clothing, then I'll come down like this, because he's got a very dark navy shirt underneath his orange one. So I'm just kind of drawing the navy one first. So just a small bump for the wrinkle in the clothing there, if you can see that. And then let's add another crease here, because why not? It's our drawing. And then a bit of the orange shirt, or the red shirt, over the top. Just a few creases here. And then I'm just going to kind of draw where the shoulders would be right there. So we're pretty much done at this point, just adding a bit more of that orange top. A few more wrinkles, why not? And then bring it down to about there. So just a few details to add and we can call our drawing done. So in the official artwork there's a few creases here. I think it's just to show some definition in the muscles. And there's a few creases here right above his eyebrow. We could have drawn this earlier, but I just didn't do it yet. You can draw that as soon as you like, really. But that's just to kind of show us, I guess, to emphasize how much he's frowning. And then along each of these big bundles of hair, we want to draw some lines coming from the ends or kind of coming from the sides like that, maybe coming from the base of the strand of hair. Okay, so add a few of these in, and it will really make it look like hair rather than just like a big kind of plasticky looking shape. So do that for all the big pineapple-y pieces. I'm really starting to want some pineapple juice after mentioning pineapple so much in this video. Okay, so just some lines coming from the top and from the bottom, just to kind of help show that, yes, that's hair. It is all kind of bundled together, maybe by power or something. And then the same goes for the ones on the fringe. So we're just kind of following the shape of those spikes of hair. So make sure you're following the shape of it, because that's how hair goes, really. You don't want to draw a line, for example, you don't want to draw one across like that. There's not going to be any hair in that direction. So follow the shape of the hair. And once you've added that in, I'd actually go as far as to say our drawing of Goku is done at this point. So get your Sharpies out. We're going to want to go over all the lines you want to keep. Want to get rid of all the guidelines. Let's get rid of that. Don't need that. Don't need that. You know, don't need this one in the middle. That's all sorted now. Don't need that. So yeah, get your Sharpie ready, get going over it, and you'll have your own finished, awesome drawing of Super Saiyan Blue Goku. Go carefully over your sketch with your Sharpie. This is a great time to check for any last mistakes in the sketch as you go and fix them before you finish your drawing. And there he is, the awesome Super Saiyan Blue Goku, ready to dish it out on Broly. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Don't forget that you can now share your artwork in my Discord channel. Hit the link in the description below to join and start sharing right away. Remember to like and subscribe for more videos. Until next time.